November 21st, 2024, Miguel Vivanco, a popular Mexican YouTuber known as El Jasper, uploaded what would be his last video. He disappeared after that. 2 days later, his body was found on a dirt road, a shocking message from the infamous Los Chapitos cartel. Here are 6 times influencers filmed cartels and disappeared. November 21st, 2024, Miguel Vivanco, better known as El Jasper, uploaded what would be his final video. 2 days later, his body was discovered, handcuffed, his eyes taped shut, and his body riddled with bullets. This wasn't an isolated case of cartel violence against influencers. It was a chilling message from one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations, Los Chapitos. El Jasper wasn't just any content creator. At 29, he had risen to significant fame in Sinaloa through his YouTube and TikTok presence. His videos often showcase the glamorous side of life in Culiacan, a city at the heart of cartel territory. He cultivated close friendships with other popular creators, including Marcos Eduardo Castro, widely known as Marcastos Toys. Together, their content painted a picture of daring luxury, fast cars, and a lifestyle steeped in risk. But this wasn't just about flaunting wealth. El Jasper's content often danced dangerously close to the world of organized crime. His associations and the stories he told on camera drew increasingly bold attention. On September 28, 2024, the Office of Control of Foreign Assets listed him under their illicit drug sanctions program, a sign that the U.S. government was watching closely. The days leading up to his disappearance were ordinary on the surface, but tension simmered beneath. Friends and fellow creators noticed he seemed unusually guarded. Security around his home in Cala increased subtly yet noticeably to those paying attention. But nothing prepared anyone for what would happen next. On November 21st, a group of armed men forced their way into El Jasper's home. The attack was swift and calculated. Neighbors reported hearing a struggle, but by the time authorities arrived, there was little evidence left behind. His family reported him missing immediately, but hope faded fast, especially given the pattern of similar disappearances in cartel-occupied territories. Then, the grisly discovery. Early on November 23rd, his body was found on a remote dirt road outside Culiacan. The scene painted a horrifying picture: handcuffs, a body wrapped in a sheet, eyes sealed shut with green tape, and at least 70 bullet wounds. Everything about the presentation screamed deliberate cartel messaging. Investigators immediately recognized the signature of Los Chapitos. This organization, controlled by the sons of the notorious Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, represents the new era of cartel power in Mexico. Their reach extends through both traditional drug trafficking and the modern world of social media influence. Friends gathered online to mourn. Cristo Rich, another content creator and close companion, posted an emotional tribute on Instagram.
"Brother, I will love you all my life with all my heart. You took a part of me with you. I know we will see each other again, brother."
The message resonated through social media, drawing attention from fans, influencers, and the cartel alike. With his death, any pretense was gone. The message to content creators and anyone considering exposing or glamorizing cartel life was painfully clear. El Jasper's disappearance wasn't just about silencing a voice. It was a calculated move to control the narrative around cartel culture, both in traditional media and the digital landscape. The investigation remains officially open. However, few expect justice. In places ruled by fear and power, the law moves slowly, if at all. El Jasper's story quickly became part legend, part cautionary tale for anyone thinking about documenting the dangerous line between content creation and cartel exposure. But his death sent ripples far beyond Culiacan. Content creators across Mexico began re-evaluating their work. Suddenly, what seemed like innocent cultural documentation carried a price. The invisible rules of engagement for social media stars and journalists alike became painfully clear. El Jasper's case demonstrated the evolving tactics of modern cartels. They're not just fighting law enforcement or rival groups anymore. Now, they control information, access, and the very stories told about their world. Social media, once seen as a tool for exposure, became another battlefield in the ongoing war for control. And while Culiacan mourned, the message was received loud and clear by anyone considering a similar path. The price of fame in cartel country is higher than most can afford. Still, as powerful as that warning stands, every generation seems to produce another bold voice willing to risk everything for the story. If you thought that was shocking, wait until you hear what happened to this next influencer. December 17th, 2024. Culiacan, Sin. Aloha trembled. Not from the sound of gunfire, but from papers fluttering down across the city. Flyers dropped from a small plane, accusing influential figures of betrayal. Among those names, Agustin Paul, better known as El Pinky. He wouldn't survive the week. El Pinky was more than just another influencer. At just 22, his YouTube channel, Los Bleeped de Barrancos, amassed nearly 100,000 subscribers, while his Instagram boasted over 32,000 followers. His content, viral challenges, jokes, and everyday vlogs, seemed harmless to outsiders. But in Mexico's current climate, fame can attract the wrong kind of attention. Weeks before his death, Culiacan's atmosphere grew tense. Two vicious Sinaloa cartel factions, the old Los Chapitos and the rising La Mayiza, waged a brutal turf war. At least 4 influencers had already fallen victim to the violence. A Culiacan TikToker known as Elchilango was killed while filming. El Gordo Perucci followed, ambushed with his wife. And only months earlier, another YouTuber, Jesus Miguel Vivanco Garcia, was found riddled with 70 bullet wounds. Despite the growing threat, El Pinky kept posting. But whether through careless words or unwanted association, he caught the attention of powerful enemies. The flyers, carefully timed and widely distributed, accused him of laundering money for La Mayiza, rivals of the dominant Sinaloa cartel. Just one day after the fateful flyers, El Pinky's life ended violently. On January 10th, authorities found his body in Culiacan. His hands and feet were bound behind his back, bruises covering his frame. The single bullet wound to his head signified a professionally planned execution. But the horror didn't end there. A disturbing video soon circulated online. It showed El Pinky, battered and terrified, tied up and being interrogated. His alleged confession confirmed suspicions. He admitted to sharing information about where the Chapitos were located. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't just vengeance, it was a warning to other influencers. The Sinaloa cartel, and especially Los Chapitos, would not tolerate betrayal in any form. Authorities scrambled for answers, but the violence only escalated. In just the first week of 2025, Culiacan recorded 32 murders and at least 22 kidnappings. The city became a battlefield, with El Pinky's death marking a turning point in the digital age cartel wars. Social media is flooded with reactions. Fellow creators, terrified, either paused their channels or took extra security measures. Viewers, once hungry for sensational content, now understand the real dangers faced by Mexican influencers. Despite the terror, some refused to stay silent. The viral spread of El Pinky's final video became a chilling warning. Death was no longer confined to those directly involved in criminal activity. Simple association or influence was enough to make anyone a target. El Pinky's story didn't end with his death. His execution, cold, calculated, and public, sent shockwaves through Mexico's influencer community. What started as simple entertainment now carried deadly risks. The violence showed no signs of stopping. Cartel factions doubled down, monitoring social media closely. Every post, every location tag, every casual reference could be fatal. In this new era, digital fame has become a double-edged sword. Despite the tragic outcome, El Pinky's case served as a harsh lesson to anyone playing with cartel territory, even unintentionally. As the body count rose, it became clear there are no safe viral moments when organized crime is watching. El Pinky's life and gruesome end remind everyone just how thin the line is between fame and death in modern Mexico. His story, caught forever on camera, stands as a warning. In this brutal digital age, not all clicks are worth the risk.
19-year-old Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales was shot 18 times in a bar after posting a video of him talking badly about one of the most dangerous drug lords in Mexico.
19-year-old Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales, better known as El Pirata de Culiacan, was no ordinary influencer. Born in the cartel stronghold of Sinaloa, Mexico, he spent his youth struggling to get by after being abandoned first by his father and then by his mother. By age 15, he'd left school to work washing cars. But in the gritty streets of Culiacan, his outrageous behavior would soon draw an audience far bigger than anything he'd imagined. An audience that included the deadliest criminal organizations in the world. The internet loved his wild antics, chugging whiskey faster than anyone, always surrounded by beautiful women, flashy cars, and guns. At 17, he'd racked up over 1 million Facebook followers and 300,000 fans on Instagram. Social media made him a teenage sensation. Everywhere he went, party invitations followed. But with every bottle he drank for the camera, with every viral stunt, he edged closer to a line that should never be crossed. By 2017, El Pirata lived as if he were invincible, posting wild videos, taking shots with anyone who could keep up, and talking trash about anyone who disagreed. As Instagram showed a cartoonish attempt at maturity, drawn-on beard, pirate tattoos, and luxury cars, those party videos from Culiacan kept going more viral, and soon he started attracting the wrong kind of attention. Documented on multiple social networks, his brash lifestyle showed no sign of slowing down. At just 17, he'd become a poster boy for bad decisions and risky behavior. But Culiacan wasn't just his playground, it's cartel territory controlled by powerful criminal organizations. His reckless stunts pushed viewers from curiosity to real concern. Then came the fateful night. Drunk and streaming live, he made a mistake most never survive. He directly insulted Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, the ruthless Jalisco New Generation cartel boss, known as El Mencho. On camera, he delivered a vulgar Spanish insult against El Mencho, one that can't be repeated here. That alone would have been bad enough. But he did it publicly on social media, for everyone, including the CJNG, to see.
Papas, yo no me pongo a traer lo que sea la verga. Así que el Mecho a mí me pela la verga.
The digital world lit up with reactions. Thus signed his deal of death. One Mexican newspaper captioned the video. Everyone knew those words spelled out his fate. There's a reason nobody insults El Mencho. He leads Mexico's fastest-growing, most violent cartel. Rosales himself never believed he'd pay a price for that drunken outburst. But 6 days later, the consequences caught up. December 18th, 2017, El Pirata sits in a Jalisco bar with friends. Without warning, 4 heavily armed men burst in, march straight to his table, and unleash a hail of bullets, 15 to 18 by different accounts. He died instantly, executed in cold blood. A young bar employee was also killed, caught in the crossfire. CJNG territory became the scene of his final party. Investigators linked his killing to the online insult almost immediately. Witnesses reported the shooters came directly for him. No robbery, no warning, just professional violence. In the aftermath, his story became a cautionary legend. Even in death, his story went viral. Proof that in cartel country, real-world consequences follow digital recklessness. His murder was quickly connected to the insult. One media outlet called it his signed deal of death. While authorities never confirmed CJNG involvement, everyone knew who'd exacted revenge. As the media picked apart his final days, tragic irony surfaced. Days before his death, he'd expressed a desire to change, telling a radio host he wanted to become a singer, not just a party mascot. But it was too late. His fate was sealed by that reckless social post. The murder marked a new chapter in the dangerous intersection of internet fame and organized crime. It wasn't just a cautionary tale for Mexican youth. Journalists, influencers, and citizens understood the warning. El Pirata's death proved that some lines should never be crossed, even online. In Mexico's digital struggle with narco-violence, his murder became a high-profile lesson about the limits of social media bravado. The line between internet fame and cartel attention is thinner than most realize. As this series continues, you'll see other influencers who pushed those boundaries and disappeared forever. But what happens when an influencer openly declares love for a brutal cartel?
Mandar también un agradecimiento a toda la familia Guzmán, a todos sus hijos. Les agradezco mucho haberme puesto de pie de la silla de ruedas. Para estos videos y este grupo musical es para que todo el mundo sepa que son buenas personas, que son unas personas increíbles.
October 19th, 2024. Juan Carlos Lopez, known as Elchilango, was recording a video while selling candy near a gas station in Culiacan. Two men on a motorcycle pulled up and opened fire. It all happened fast, right in the heart of a city already torn by cartel violence. Elchilango wasn't just any TikToker. He was a street vendor turned online figure, famous locally for his videos selling candy and music USB drives. But there was something that set him apart. He openly thanked and praised the Guzman family, the infamous drug lords led by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman and his sons, Los Chapitos. His videos weren't just about selling sweets. He showed deep loyalty, even claiming their help got him out of a wheelchair. That public allegiance put a massive target on his back. But praising the most powerful cartel faction in Sinaloa isn't without risks. The city's Rua Chapitos and their rivals, La Maiza, have been locked in a bloody turf war. Social media had become another battlefield, with influencers like Elchilango acting as voices or symbols for one side. He made multiple references to Los Chapitos, even using symbols associated with them, like pizza emojis, which the faction reportedly uses for messaging. This public display crossed a dangerous line in a war where silence often means survival. Two men on a motorcycle gunned him down despite a heavy security presence, including the National Guard patrolling nearby. They escaped into the night without being caught. The moment Elchilango chose to broadcast his support was when he messed with the wrong side. His street corner stunt became a death sentence. After his death, videos surfaced showing ties to other notorious influence, bar figures linked to the cartels. Banners with symbols of the Guzman clan appeared at his gatherings, highlighting the blurred lines between social media fame and organized crime in Sinaloa. His murder sent a chilling warning. In cartel territory, even online fame has deadly limits. For the local community and Elchilango's family, fear deepened. The violent turf war keeps claiming lives, and social media no longer feels safe. Influencers vanish, sometimes without a trace. But the story doesn't end there. If you think Elchilango's death was chilling, wait till you hear about the next influencer who went one step further and vanished without a trace. August 17th, 2024. Camilo Ochoa, a former Sinaloa cartel plaza boss turned YouTube personality, sits in front of his camera. He's grown thousands of followers, sharing stories from his time inside one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations. But tonight, his usual bravado seemed different, tinged with unmistakable fear. Just hours after this broadcast, Ochoa was gone. You see, Ochoa wasn't just any influencer. His past in the cartel world gave his online presence a dangerous credibility. He'd survived being part of the Sinaloa machine and then managed to reinvent himself as a social media storyteller. That made his channel instantly popular and equally controversial. But what Ochoa couldn't have foreseen was how social media would become a new front in Mexico's brutal cartel wars. His videos filled with insider tales became a double-edged sword, earning views from curious onlookers and drawing attention from dangerous rivals. The backdrop for his story is the violent split within the Sinaloa cartel. On one side, El Chapo's sons, known as Los Chapitos. On the other hand, the faction led by Ismael El Mayo Zambada's family, now led by his son, Mayito Flaco. When El Mayo was arrested in Texas, he blamed El Chapo's sons for betrayal. The resulting power struggle turned Sinaloa into a bloodbath, claiming nearly 2,000 lives in less than a year. In this environment, social media influencers became valuable and lethal assets. Both factions realized the power of online propaganda, pressuring content creators to take sides. Those who refused or picked the wrong team paid with their lives. Ochoa, with his deep cartel knowledge and growing online presence, found himself caught in this war. He received multiple threats, some private, others chillingly public. Yet he continued posting, perhaps believing his insider status protected him. But things escalated when pamphlets began circulating in January. Dropped from helicopters over Culiacan, these papers listed 25 names, including Ochoa, accused of supporting Los Chapitos. 4 faces were already stamped eliminated when the lists appeared. Ochoa knew his time was running out. Despite the warnings, he kept his channel active. His final videos took on a nervous tone, addressing threats directly. He seemed to understand the gravity of his situation but pressed on, perhaps hoping his notoriety and followers provided some shield of protection. On that August night, after filming what would be his last upload, Ochoa was gunned down in Morelos. His killing sent shockwaves through Mexico's influencer community. It was clear. The war between cartel factions now included social media personalities as both weapons and targets. Ochoa's death wasn't just about one man. It marked a turning point in how organized crime viewed influencers. No longer just neutral observers or amateur historians, content creators had become active participants, willingly or not, in cartel propaganda struggles. The backlash was immediate. Other names on the pamphlet list fled Sinaloa or went into hiding. Some shut down their channels permanently, while others deleted controversial content and public affiliations. The message was clear. Online fame now carried potentially deadly consequences. But Ochoa's story doesn't end with his death. His channel remained online, serving as both a warning and a blueprint. It showed how quickly a social media following could become a liability in the wrong context. It also revealed the growing sophistication of cartel communication strategies, where even digital presence had to be carefully calculated. In the aftermath, Mexican authorities began investigating the role of social media in cartel operations more seriously. They've identified over 64 influencers with suspiciously inflated followings, suspecting cartel-backed viewership and ad revenue schemes. Some accounts were frozen, and investigations into money laundering via influencer platforms intensified. Ochoa's legacy became a cautionary tale for other would-be narco-influencers. His death didn't stop the trend. In fact, the dangerous allure of mixing social media fame with cartel connections only grew. But it did force a new awareness of the risks involved. Now every influencer who considers capitalizing on cartel associations must weigh their ambition against the very real dangers. Ochoa's story stands as a stark reminder that in Mexico's evolving criminal landscape, even YouTube fame comes at a steep price. But if Ochoa's fate seems shocking, the next case, an influencer openly calls out and challenges a major drug cartel and suffers the consequences. November 23, 2024, Jacksonville, Florida. Streaming personality Nerman Cheesur had just posted a message on X, formerly Twitter, including one of the largest cartel names in Mexico. Cheesur, known for his brash style and controversial statements on the stake-backed Kick streaming platform, had built a following of over 142,000 viewers. As a prominent member of Aden Ross's SSB Content Creator Collective, Cheesur frequently appeared on major broadcasts and hosted his own streams with a devoted audience. In the days leading up to his disappearance, Cheesur's social media presence took a troubling turn. A post, allegedly from his account, challenged the Jalisco New Generation cartel by name and called out its feared leader, El Mencho. Some reports suggest this post actually originated from a troll account, aiming to drag Cheesur into dangerous territory with cartel affiliates. The situation quickly escalated from internet drama to real-world concern. A missing persons poster, circulated on social media by ex-account #KickChaChaChamp, listed Cheesur's age, physical description, last known location, and a contact number for his family. The streamer had vanished, leaving the gaming community in shock. Cheesur's online history included previously making racially charged comments against another popular streamer, Bruce Drop M Off, after the latter left Kick for Twitch. These patterns of controversy had already drawn negative attention, but nothing prepared his audience for what came next. Despite initial confusion about whether the posts targeting the cartel were authentic, Cheesur's sudden disappearance forced everyone to take the situation seriously. The missing persons flyer circulation through his community added a layer of grim authenticity. This was no longer an internet stunt. As speculation grew, some fellow creators suggested the inflammatory posts were made by imposters trying to frame Cheesur. Others maintained that regardless of who posted the messages, the threat from a powerful cartel was too serious to ignore. Family members and close contacts received no information about his whereabouts. Suspicions swirled about whether Cheesur had gone into hiding voluntarily, been abducted, or was intentionally staying off the grid. The lack of communication only fueled the growing concern within the streaming world. Media coverage debated the authenticity of the original posts, with some outlets suggesting the entire episode was a coordinated attempt to get Cheesur in hot water with dangerous criminal organizations. However, the missing persons report lent a dark credibility to the situation. As days turned into weeks with no word, the reality of Cheesur's absence set in for his fans and fellow creators. Kick, the platform he helped grow, remained silent as the investigation continued. His once active social media accounts fell silent. Most telling was the response from the broader content creation community. Streamers who once courted controversy began to reassess how far they would push boundaries, especially when it came to organized crime figures known for violent retribution. The specific details of what happened to Cheesur remain shrouded in mystery. Some believe he went into hiding after realizing the seriousness of the situation. Others fear a more sinister outcome. Regardless of the truth, his case became an instant warning for internet personalities everywhere. Not all controversies can be safely navigated, especially when they involve those who operate outside the law's protection.